Hi, I'm Bybreen and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. So I hope all of you had a fantastic festive season, enjoyed Christmas Day, and I'm wishing you, every single one of you who supports me, who backs me, who loves what I do, who engages with me, who shares my content, I'm wishing every single one of you a fantastic 2019. There are wonderful things on the horizon which I want to share with you, because today I'm going to bring you some of the key transits for 2019, and there's quite a lot going on in the skies. So let's start with the fact that Jupiter has come home. Jupiter has come home to Sagittarius. So it's a sense of wealth, optimism, abundance, truth, justice, wisdom. You, the guru, taking center stage. You know, Jupiter has come home after 12 years. And so what have you learned in the 12 years that you've been able to imbibe to grow your own life? So to really give your sense of this beautiful inner world that is textured and strong and wise and vulnerable and flexible, because you've imbibed the knowledge. You've been able to discern the facts and apply them to yourself. Now that Jupiter has come home, how are you now able to share that with other people? So we've got this sense of abundance and opulence and truth and wisdom and justice. Try not to be too indulgent though. Now that sort of sets the context, and then we have Jupiter is forming 3 squares with Neptune. So that takes place in January, June and September. So with these squares, what we're looking at is this juxtaposition of faith and wisdom and trust and truth versus escapism, avoidance, illusion, untruths in some way. It's a square, and so these two concepts are coming into conflict, and we're seeing this played out, and we've been asked to take a position on this. So let's take the refugee crisis. There are 68 million people right around the world that have been displaced, and the countries, according to the UN, where the vast majority of the refugees have escaped from are Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Somalia and Myanmar. So just think, there are 68 million people who've been displaced. About 2/3 of those people come from these 5 countries. Now, if there was a peace deal in just one of those countries, what it would do, it would actively encourage people to return back home, which will then lessen the burden and the pressure of this refugee crisis. And there is a crisis. Why? Because we've got Uranus going back into Taurus. There's going to be swinging cuts to the public purse, and that's the public purse, be it your local authority or the UN's public purse. We're already seeing that played out, because this year, the refugee theme only received 31% funding to take care of the basic needs of refugees. So what does that mean for us with this Jupiter squaring Neptune? For those of us who live in democracies and vote, we're being called upon to, we say we stand for something. Here's an opportunity to demonstrate how we want to bring about social justice so that refugees are treated in a humanitarian way. So what can we do? We can challenge our MPs, we can challenge our politicians to question the impact of foreign policies and how that's shaping what's going on with the refugee crisis. Otherwise, what we're going to be sold as sort of like smoke and mirrors, and it's not as bad as what we think it is. So where we've got Jupiter squaring Neptune, it's a sense of how we brand and how we position and how we advertise what's going on. We're being called upon to speak the truth, but also how do we package that message going forward? Now, we have Uranus, and Uranus is currently, it has retrograded back into Aries and will go forward into Taurus in March. Now, Uranus was in Aries for 7 years, and over that time we have all hopefully reinvented ourselves in some particular way, and the retrograde is a reminder as to what is that new distinctive identity that you actually broke out, broke free claimed it, because it's Aries, that's about your core identity, it's about the courage and the confidence to stand up for what it is that you truly believe who you're meant to be. And we saw that particularly with the Time's Up movement and the Me Too movements. And I'm just shifting the focus slightly to women, because those two movements are about women and women who've been sexually assaulted, sexually abused, and the speaking out of it. And so now that Uranus is about to move back into Taurus, it's the grounding of this new identity. And for us as women, how are we shaping our new identity, particularly given that Venus rules Taurus and Uranus goes into Taurus? So it's the shaking up of the female energy, the female identity. And there's a presentation, a talk given by Lady Gaga, and she was somebody who was sexually assaulted, and she's saying, you know, even me, I can't actually name the perpetrator, but what I am doing is reclaiming my power. And so with this transition of Uranus back into Aries, how do you claim your power, reclaim it, assert it, and then once it moves into Taurus, it's about the grounding of that new identity. Moving it into the economic arena, I've already alluded to the fact there's going to be cuts to the public purse. But also, if we think about the euro as a currency, it turns 20 in 2019. So it might be a bit of a celebration, but it's going to be disruptive, particularly with this whole debacle of Britain, Brexiting. So that's going to shift the dynamics in terms of the currency. But also if we move it beyond the euro and just look at economics generally, there's a rise in interest rates that's coming. There's a rise in debt that has taken place over the last 10 years in particular. And so that is now about to shift direction. So countries, developing countries in particular, who may have lots of foreign debt in the value of the dollar, may be unable to repay back their loans, which could destabilize the economy generally. So don't be surprised if there is a recession. It's going to be showing itself in one form or another. We're also seeing the disruption of currency. So there was all this hype over the last 7 years, particularly when Uranus was transitioning through Aries. And we saw the rise of cryptocurrencies, which is built upon blockchain, which is a new technology. So in the early days of cryptocurrency, you were able to yield quite a bit. However, over 2017, the cost of a cryptocurrency was actually at $20,000. And in 2018, we've seen that crash and burn to less than $5,000. So it's not a good investment. On top of that, because of the demise of the value, cryptocurrencies per se are not attracting inward investment. So we're seeing this whole destabilization of people's investments. So investments could be shifted, could be changed. So with your new identity, which has been shaped by Uranus when it was going through Aries, and now it's moving back into Taurus, how are you able to use your new identity, your new skills, in order to generate income, or in order to generate new types of resources? With Uranus there again, there might be a remission in terms of if you've had a health problem, and that might suddenly become in remission, because Uranus is about sudden changes and Taurus talks about the body. Alongside the transition of Uranus through Aries, we had Chiron transiting through Pisces over the previous 8 years. Now Chiron has gone back into Pisces and will be moving forward into Aries. So where Uranus left off, Pisces is entering. So with Chiron in Pisces, that was about understanding, identifying and healing the collective wounds that we see out there in society. The compassion that we showed for other people, the sensitivity, the care, the wanting to improve the quality of lives, to soothe the pain of the collective. But if you were operating in that particular guise, what was happening was that you were hiding behind the collective pain and not dealing with your own pain and trauma. Now with Chiron moving into Aries, Aries is the sign of ego and identity. And the question posed here is, do I matter? I've been wounded, my core identity has been wounded, my psyche, because the ego is represented by Aries. And the ego is also reflected in the psyche. So what psychic wounds have you experienced? What wounding has taken place to your identity? Are you asking yourself, could you be asking yourself, do I matter? Is it an era whereby you're now beginning to have the courage to stand up and to fight for your own existence? Chiron going through Aries is going to challenge you on this. This is about self-identification. This is about assertion. Some may say aggression, but it is about standing up for your core identity, which means you can no longer exist in the filter or the mirror of something or someone else. What else is there in terms of 2019? So much is going on, and obviously we've got the eclipses. The eclipses mainly take place in Capricorn and Cancer. So we have the last eclipse of the Leo and Aquarius. That's on the 21st of January. Beyond that, we've got the year of the eclipses, because the nodes moved into Capricorn and Cancer. So on the 6th of January, we have a new moon, solar eclipse. So we have the sun, we have the moon, but we also have Saturn and Pluto, all in Capricorn, and they're sort of foreshadowing what's going to happen in about 11 months time, in about 13 months time, when there's going to be Jupiter, the sun, moon, Pluto and Saturn all lining up in Capricorn. So with this new moon in Capricorn, there's a call in a sense for how seriously are we taking facts and information and the conveyance of those facts and information. If we take the refugee crisis for a moment, we're being called to rise up and to challenge the authority of governance and governments and how things are done in a different way, a regenerated way. And the reason being is because Pluto is cutting through the convention in order for something else to be born. So for you and I and all of us here, how are we taking facts seriously? How are we being responsible for the regeneration of facts that liberates ourselves but also liberates other people? So it's very much this dissemination, the communication. We might see that traditional media taking its role far more seriously and wanting to be more discerning about the facts. One can only hope, that journalism really gets back to being far more objective. And so what we're seeing in its place is the rise of citizen journalism and alternative journalism that's, preparing and presenting the facts in the face of fake news. Because whatever we read, whatever we participate in, we want this sense of authority. We want this sense of gravitas in terms of how we show up and how we relate to what's going on. And we're seeing that played out again, because when we're looking at corporations and businesses, we're seeing this sense of woke capitalism. This is this new term that's being bandied about, whereby companies and businesses are really demonstrating their ethics and their values and what they actually stand for. And we see a great example of this with the Nike advert and Colin Kaepernick. And he's the NFL player who took the knee during the American national anthem. Some see it as heresy, others see him as a liberator. And Nike used him in one of their ads, and this really appealed to their consumers because their core audience are people 35 and under. And so bundled within that we have millennials who really are into living their ethics and their values. Other generations are as well, and this was a great coup for night, because as a result of the demonstration of their values, what they stand for, that generated more profits. And they were willing to show their ethics, willing to show their values in the face of political opposition. So where we've got this, all of these energies going through Capricorn, it's a challenge to the status quo, it's a challenge to convention, and it's a challenge to those in power. We've got the next solar eclipse in July, and here there's a sense of there may be, and it's in Cancer, and there's a sense of there may be a break in family arrangements. There could be divorces or separations, or just literally a change in terms of how your home environment may change, because it's got a Uranian feel to it. On top of that, what we're going to see is the expansion of the numbers of people who will be able to access the internet. So tech companies are widening the catchment. You know, there's about 8 billion of us on planet Earth, and there's maybe about mid to 3/4 of the way through 2019, we're going to get a sense of maybe up to 50% of people will be online. Then the final solar eclipse, which will take place in December on Boxing Day 2019, there's this sense, again, the theme that, you know, Brexit is showing, of a defense of country, nationhood, nationality, patriotism. What does that all mean? So the eclipses are about what gives one or a country a sense of emotional security as well as gravitas, and it's about the balancing of these concepts. And then just think about that for your own life. Where are you able to stand up in your own truth? And where is it and what is it that enables you to have emotional security? And is it a case whereby you need to be structuring your emotions so you take yourself seriously as well as being taken seriously by others? Is there anything else? Have I forgotten anything? I don't think so, but I think that gives us a sense of what's going on, because as I said, we have Chiron moving into Aries, we have Uranus moving back into Taurus, we have this square that's going on with Jupiter and Neptune, and the conjunction, Saturn conjuncting Pluto. They are the main transits that are taking place in 2019. And the quote is, today's quote is by Einstein, and it's this sense of, you know, your imagination, what you think about is going to foreshadow your life's realities. So this new identity that is being birthed in terms of gravitas, that's been birthed in terms of what you stand for, that's been birthed in terms of you're fighting for the truth. Truth is going to permeate all types of relationships. What is the truth in this particular situation? What is my personal truth? What is your personal truth? How do you advocate that personal truth? Have the courage and confidence to heal your wounds, Chiron going through Aries, to actually speak even if your voice is shaken. So that's it, beautiful people. They're the transits for 2019. If I can help any of you in any particular way, if you'd like a personal reading with me to have a sense of what the transits mean for you, if you want to know what your own personal avatar is, what your narrative is, and where these transits are showing up in your life, or any other type of reading, I have quite a few in my portfolio, then just get in touch with me. Drop me an email, bybreen@googlemail.com. That's BYBREEN at Samuels, SAMUELS, at googlemail.com. Would love to serve you by giving you a personal consultation. Feel free to share this episode with anybody in your network, like and subscribe, put your comments in the comment box below, and really look forward to deepening our connection in 2019 and beyond. So until then, until the next episode, stay well, beautiful people, and thank you so much for supporting me. Stay well, have a fantastic New Year celebration, and I will see you soon. Bye.